We like to think that we live in a nice, safe neighborhood. The truth is that a burglary occurs every 13 seconds, and homes without a security system have a 300% greater chance of getting broken into. How many homes in your neighborhood were robbed yesterday? You need to start protecting your home and family today. Call now to get state-of-the-art protection. To keep your family and property safe, call the number on your screen now. Representatives are standing by to assist you.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casinos now, your favorite sports book available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E, and you get a risk-free bet up to $300 and 20 bonus dollars at BorgataCasino.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Okay, in this week's edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report, we are going to be talking about some state reports for 3 different months, as a matter of fact. We've got state reporting its November numbers, we got a state reporting its December numbers, and a state reporting January numbers.
So a state is reporting its November numbers now. We're in February, right?
Yes, and I think you know which state that is.
Yeah, I know. But
we also
every state has different reporting requirements, so we have to roll with it.
We also have some deals to talk about, some legislation. We even have a blotter entry for this week, but if we don't get to it in the time allotted for this week's episode of the book report, you can always go to the blog itself, turnpikesportsradio.com, click on the blog button, and you'll see the stories we do talk about, as well as some other stories that we haven't had time to talk about this week on the blog itself. Let's start with the state reporting of the sports betting numbers. We've actually got a state handle record, a traditional handle record to talk about, a state mobile handle record to talk about, and a state revenue record to talk about.
So that's what you're calling, I guess you're calling it a retail, that's traditional?
No, traditional is the terminology people are starting to use for combining both retail and online together.
Okay, so that's, okay, I'm glad you straightened that out. So traditional is online and retail together.
That's the overall handle.
Overall handle.
I guess traditional is a better way of phrasing than overall.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Personally, I just say handle.
Traditional handle.
I actually differentiate handle and mobile handle. That's what I do.
Okay.
Let's talk about the November numbers from Illinois. Here we are in February talking November of previous year. Illinois came in with their 6-month straight of record revenue, record handle, $449.2 million.
So they've had six straight months of record handle, huh? Okay. Wow,
yeah,
great.
So they're doing extremely well. Again, they beat October by about 3.4%.
Well, it's a very populous state. I mean, when you have Chicago in there and other big cities, you're going to get a lot of numbers.
Well, you also got to realize they are now starting to reap the benefits of the online registration, the not in-person registration, because Governor Pritzker keeps extending the moratorium or the order saying that you don't have to go to a physical property to register for an online sports book now. So they're starting to see the numbers come in. Because of those numbers in November, they are the 6th state to surpass $1 billion in cumulative revenue. They have almost nearly $1.4 million so far for 2020. Still don't know what December holds. They may actually overtake 1 or 2 other states. Illinois ranked 4th in handle in November, trailing only New Jersey, Nevada, and Pennsylvania.
Okay.
New Jersey had another tremendous month back in November, $931 million.
I can't even remember November.
Second straight month, DraftKings, BetRivers, and FanDuel all cleared $100 million in online handle for each. $433.7 million in online handle for the state in November of 2020. That accounted for about 96.5% of all wagers in the state. Moving over to Rhode Island, who has reported their December sports betting numbers. We're slowly moving up the calendar here.
We're creeping up to present day. Okay.
Now, Rhode Island had some interesting numbers reported because they are one of the few states, if not the only state, that had their state handle, sports betting handle, decline. December reported $22.7 million in handle. That's down 35% from November.
Interesting.
Well, you got to remember, at the end of the year, their casinos closed again. At the end of the month of November, they closed again for a couple of weeks.
Okay, but Rhode Island isn't that strong in mobile, right?
Mobile, they set a state mobile record,
and still they fell, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mobile sports betting handle hit $18.3 million in December. That's a state record. That's up almost 17% from November, which was $15.699 million, just under $15.7 million, and it more than doubled their December online handle. So, online, remember, during the pandemic, Rhode Island dropped the in-person registration requirement again.
For mobile.
Yeah, and that's gone completely. They don't have to keep doing an executive order. They just took that out of the law.
Well, that's smart.
So they actually
Very
learned.
smart on Rhode Island's part.
At some point, I guess Illinois is going to do that, too, because even Iowa dropped the in-person registration, and they're starting to see the benefits of it as well when they report their numbers. Over in, let's see, 5th month in a row that the state record for online handle was reset. So the online handle is showing progress in terms of Rhode Island, even though the two casinos that had sports betting kept opening and closing throughout the pandemic. Let's talk a little bit about some of the legislation here that's going on, because we got some interesting first bills.
Okay.
Maryland introduced its first sports betting bill, which had a unique twist. And it's one of the it's a twist I'd like to see other states doing too, as a matter of fact. They introduced a sports betting bill that would license nonprofits for sports betting.
Interesting.
What's
the rationale for that one?
Well, the state fair in Maryland is one of the highest revenue grossers for off-track betting.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can go to the Maryland if this bill passes and signed into law. You can
once they're licensed,
you can bet at the state fair.
That, and also in and around it too. There's going to be some kind of bubble around it as well.
Okay, all right. Well,
so
hey,
it's the first bill that actually talks about licensing nonprofits for sports betting, and it's actually something to keep an eye on, because in this kind of market in the United States, it seems like certain states pick and choose which model they want to follow.
Sure.
And again, a lot of states, like the next one we're going to be talking about, which is Arizona, are following the model of allowing sports teams to get sports betting licenses so that they can have sports books and take bets on their stadiums or their venues, whatever you want to call it, as well as in and around the area where their stadium is located. And that's what's happening in Arizona. They are taking that model and they've introduced it. They have also are going to be allowing 10 licenses to be awarded to sports, which includes golf and NASCAR, which are huge in Arizona.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Which would add 10 licenses to any kind of sports betting bill that they are going to be enacting. Whether or not this actually moves ahead, but again, Arizona is the gambling industry is mostly run by the tribal casinos, so it's an update to the Tribal Gaming Pact, which will allow them to also do online betting, fantasy sports, Keno.
Yeah. Really? All right.
So it's kind of interesting, and they are also allowing certain social clubs like the American Legion to get a sports betting license.
That would be interesting. I'd like to see how that works out in the legislation.
Can you imagine quarter beer night at American Legion with sports betting on tap right there?
Sounds like fun.
That's kind of an interesting little thing to think about with that stuff.
Yeah, no, that'd be interesting.
Going over to Washington State, we have another bill that was introduced. This is on-site sports betting for privately owned card rooms and racetracks. Now, the one thing that was interesting about this bill, it's a $100,000 site license fee to already licensed card rooms or racetracks. There's 45 card rooms in the state.
Didn't even know there was that many card rooms in the state.
Think about that. 100,000 times 45.
Yeah, no, that's
and that all goes to the
good
state.
Chunk of change.
Yeah, and they're also doing a 10% tax rate, which actually is a really good tax rate in terms of doing a sports betting operation in a state. A lot of them have higher state taxes. A lot of them also do a local tax inside different communities too. So it's very interesting twist on it. Where
I don't know
the
much
card
about
rooms.
the card rooms in Washington State. I wonder if that $100,000 fee is prohibitive to a lot of them. Are these big card rooms, small card rooms? I guess you have to take a look at that. But
it also depends on how many. The one thing that I didn't see a breakdown of in terms of the card rooms, they have 45. How many are owned by the same companies?
oh, that's true. Okay,
So that could dampen the number, lessen it. It's one of those things where it's going to have to be worked out in committee. They're just introducing it. It'll be moving through. And
So it'd be $100,000 per card room. Say if a company owned three card rooms
per licensed card room.
Okay, so I mean, if a company owned 3 card rooms,
It would be one license for those 3 rooms.
Okay, all right. See, that
So
makes a little more sense.
You need to
Okay.
see a little bit more of a
Yeah,
breakdown
yeah.
in terms of who owns what, where is all this licensing.
Hey, but I learned that
directed, so-
Washington State has 45 card rooms. That's pretty cool.
Well, Hawaii. There's been a lot of talk with Hawaii lately, I noticed,
Yeah, no. Who did I speak with? Brian Pempis.
which is coming up in a later show.
coming up. Yeah, he had an article about Hawaii. So,
Well, they introduced 3
gambling
new
in
bills.
Hawaii.
They introduced 3 new bills.
Okay.
And just before we even get into this, nothing earlier than 2022 in terms of any kind of results for these bills. So it's not going to happen right away, but it should happen within 2 to 3 years.
For me, I mean, I said this during the interview with Brian Pempis. Hawaii just seems logical to me because, can you imagine? They have all the resorts. All you have to do is add a casino in there. I mean, a casino resort in Hawaii would be perfect. It'd be incredible for the tourist trade.
Well, a lot of the bills have to deal with the preliminary stuff before sports betting actually happens.
Hawaii doesn't even have anything. They don't even have casinos.
Well, they also have bills proposing a lottery now, too.
Yeah, they don't even have a lottery.
And the lottery bills are prohibiting the lotteries from having sports betting. So a lot of this stuff is kind of counterintuitive if you think about it, where you have one set of legislation coming in for sports betting, another legislation denying sports betting for certain entities in the state if these things happen, because Hawaii has nothing. In terms of gambling.
It's a blank slate, so it should be Hawaii's a state to watch, not only for sports betting, but for casinos and online gambling and things like that. So we shall see what Hawaii, even for lottery, all you lottery fans.
Well, here's
out
what
there.
they've done. They've introduced legislation to create a sports gambling task force.
Oh, a task force.
Basically, a little think tank within the Senate bill.
Well, they can take a look at the other states and see what the other states are doing.
And all they're doing is
a ton of different models they can follow.
they're going to make recommendations
Okay.
over the next legislative sessions. And there's even a talk that this may not happen until 2023.
Okay. Well,
So it's down the road here. They have another bill which changes the definition of gambling to exclude digital sports betting.
to exclude digital.
Because right now, all sports betting is illegal.
All right.
So it's one of those things where you're going to have to see where these bills progress, what kind of negotiation back and forth has been done on these bills to get them to move forward, because Hawaii, like I said, doesn't have anything to offer in terms of legalized gambling. They have no casinos, no lottery, no sports betting, no online casinos. Everything they do is they have to go to the mainland and do their gambling that way before they have anything at home. A couple of deals to really hit before we end this segment. BetMGM's been busy. They announced 2 deals. They did a deal, and it's interesting because we got another deal that we're going to talk about that's auto racing. And auto racing seems to be the big sport right now to do some sports betting deals.
Well, we're coming into the auto racing season.
We got Daytona coming up.
Yep.
And actually the BetMGM
I
deal.
have never won any money betting on Daytona.
I did.
I mean, I had one year. I think it was the first year of legal sports betting here in New Jersey. I put some money on a couple cars, and they had this huge 10-car accident going into the last lap, and I had a couple cars in there. So
the only thing I've ever won with NASCAR racing is those podium finishes.
Yeah. Okay.
The top 3 finishers, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But BetMGM did a deal with Richard Childress Racing to be their official sports betting partner of the racing team, and you're going to see BetMGM all over the place with Richard Childress Racing at the Daytona.
So
that's where it's going to kick off.
We're going to see
there.
BetMGM cars.
I don't know if we're going to see a car per se. You might see some branding somewhere.
Okay.
I'll
keep an eye out
at
for
least with the
BetMGM cars.
Richard Childress Racing team.
Okay.
Another auto racing group. It's a brand new league coming out. It's not NASCAR. It's not Formula. It's called the Superstar Racing Experience. These are short track races. And it's Tony Stewart's company, the Hall of Fame racer. He's starting a new racing league where it's just short track racing. They did a deal with Genius Sports for a data deal. So we may be seeing a lot of sports betting betcasts with this new racing league.
Great. Can't wait.
And last but not least, real quick, since we're running out of time, IMG Arena has created a new sports betting product. It's called the EuroLeague Instant Legends game. Basically, remember what was the company we interviewed a while back, Sling Games, with the NBA game, the last 60?
Yeah, I kind of remember that. Yeah,
sort of like that.
Ago. Yeah.
Sort of like that. They're going to take vintage footage from the EuroLeague, which is basketball, and they're going to create a betting product based upon the computer simulations, putting together the vintage footage, and you can bet on what's going to happen in the little games that they're going to create.
Great.
That's it for this week. We are going to be putting up the rest of the news stories we didn't get to up on the blog. Head on over to turnpikesportsradio.com, click on the blog button. You'll see the stories we did talk about, and you'll also see stories we didn't have a chance to talk about this week on the book report.
That'll do it for us this week. If you're going out to the newly opened casinos or sportsbooks, please be safe. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.